Life is made up of choices. Every decision you make, no matter how small, shapes your future. What you say, how you think, how you handle your emotions, and how you manage your money all have a direct impact on the life you're building. If you've ever felt like you were stuck in a cycle, like your habits or mindset were holding you back, you're not alone. The good news? You have the power to change all of that. This book is about taking control in the most powerful way possible. It's about learning how to control your mouth, your mind, your mood, and your money. When you learn how to master these 4 areas of your life, you'll start seeing real transformation. Not just in your bank account, but in how you feel about yourself and your place in the world. It's about becoming the person you've always wanted to be, not just in dreams, but in reality. Imagine how different your life could be if you could stop reacting impulsively with your words, if you could choose your thoughts instead of being overwhelmed by them, if you could manage your emotions and not let them run your day, and if you could make smarter decisions with your money. These aren't just things you can wish for. These are habits and mindsets you can develop with practice. In the chapters ahead, I'll show you how to take simple, actionable steps to get there. Whether it's learning how to speak with intention, training your mind to stay focused, controlling your emotions, or making smarter decisions with your finances, the tools are within your reach. You don't have to be perfect. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step counts. By the end of this book, you'll have gained practical insights that will help you live more intentionally and take charge of your life in ways you might have thought were impossible. So keep reading, because what you'll find inside could be the turning point you've been waiting for. Your best self is waiting, and it all starts now. Chapter 1. Speak with purpose, not impulse. Words carry weight. They can build or destroy, encourage or discourage, open doors or shut them forever. Every sentence spoken has the power to shape outcomes, influence people, and define personal character. Many speak without considering the effects of their words, only realizing the consequences after the damage is done. Speaking with purpose means understanding that every word should serve a function, rather than be thrown out carelessly in moments of emotion or habit. Many people react without thinking, saying whatever comes to mind without filtering their thoughts. This often leads to regret, misunderstanding, or unnecessary conflict. Words said in anger, frustration, or insecurity often cause harm that cannot be undone. Apologies can be offered, explanations can be given, but words once spoken remain in the minds of those who hear them. The key to mastering speech is learning to pause before responding. A brief moment of thought before speaking allows clarity, giving time to determine whether what is about to be said is necessary, helpful, and constructive. Many misunderstandings could be avoided if people took just a few seconds to evaluate their response before letting words spill out unchecked. The discipline to hold back, to assess the situation before reacting, gives an advantage in both personal and professional interactions. Silence is not weakness. Many assume that remaining quiet in certain situations makes them appear passive or uninterested. But the truth is, silence often demonstrates control. Choosing not to respond immediately, especially in moments of anger or frustration, allows for a level-headed approach instead of a knee-jerk reaction. A well-placed pause can command attention and ensure that when words are spoken, they are received with significance. A conversation should never be a competition for who can talk the most. Speaking with purpose means eliminating the habit of speaking just to fill space. When every word carries intention, communication becomes more effective, and people are more likely to listen. It is better to say one meaningful sentence than to fill the air with empty chatter. The fewer unnecessary words used, the stronger the message becomes. The value of speech is not in its length, but in its clarity. The way something is said matters just as much as the words themselves. Tone, expression, and pacing all influence how a message is received. A harsh tone can turn a simple statement into an insult, while a calm delivery can turn criticism into constructive feedback. Words are not just spoken, they are felt. When speaking with intention, understanding how emotions are conveyed through tone becomes essential. Arguments escalate when both parties speak without listening. Many people are so eager to express their opinions that they do not hear what the other person is saying. Instead of truly understanding, they focus on how to respond next. Purposeful speaking involves listening with the intent to understand rather than reply. It means valuing the other person's perspective and responding in a way that promotes clarity rather than conflict. Conversations are not battles to be won, but opportunities to connect and find common ground. Reactions in difficult moments define character. When confronted with criticism, rejection, or an unfair situation, the first instinct is often to react defensively. Responding impulsively in such moments usually makes the situation worse. The ability to control words, to step back and choose a response carefully, gives strength and prevents unnecessary damage. A person who can maintain composure in tense situations holds an undeniable advantage. Complaining is another form of careless speech. Many people speak negatively out of habit, without realizing how much damage it does to their own mindset and the people around them. Complaints rarely solve problems, they only reinforce frustration and dissatisfaction. Speaking with purpose means focusing on solutions rather than dwelling on what is wrong. Instead of saying something is impossible or unfair, shifting speech towards problem solving creates a mindset of resilience and progress. The choice of words also affects self-perception. The things repeatedly said, even in personal thoughts, shape belief systems. Constantly saying, "I can't" or "I'm not good enough," reinforces those limitations. Changing language to reflect confidence and capability shifts mindset and influences actions. Speaking with purpose includes speaking to oneself in a way that builds strength rather than reinforces doubt. The best communicators understand that silence, patience, and precision are powerful tools. They do not waste words on gossip, unnecessary opinions, or thoughtless remarks. Instead, they use speech to motivate, encourage, and guide. People who master this skill find that others listen when they speak, not because they are loud or forceful, but because their words carry meaning. In everyday interactions, whether at work, home, or social settings, intentional speech makes a difference. Instead of mindlessly answering or reacting, taking a moment to consider the words being used changes the quality of communication. Speaking in a way that adds value, rather than just filling silence, strengthens relationships and fosters respect. The discipline of speaking with purpose is not developed overnight. It takes practice and awareness to change long-standing habits. However, once mastered, it transforms how others perceive and respond to a person. It builds trust, earns respect, and opens opportunities. The difference between someone who speaks thoughtlessly and someone who speaks with intention is clear. One creates confusion and conflict, the other creates understanding and connection. Making every word count is not about speaking less, it is about speaking better. Each conversation is an opportunity to impact someone positively. Whether offering encouragement, sharing knowledge, or providing guidance, purposeful speech shapes interactions and leaves a lasting impression. The challenge is not to never speak, but to speak only when words serve a true purpose. Mastering this skill creates a presence that is undeniable. A person who speaks with purpose carries influence, commands attention, and builds stronger connections. Conversations become more meaningful, conflicts become easier to navigate, and misunderstandings decrease. The power of words is undeniable, and using them wisely is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. Chapter 2. Think before you talk. The ability to think before speaking is one of the most valuable habits a person can develop. Words are powerful, and when used carelessly, they can create misunderstandings, damage relationships, and leave lasting regret. Many people speak without fully considering the impact of their words, allowing emotions or impulse to dictate their responses. Developing the discipline to pause and reflect before responding is not just about avoiding mistakes, it is about ensuring that every word spoken carries meaning, truth, and purpose. People often feel the need to respond quickly, especially in moments of tension, disagreement, or excitement. The urge to say something immediately comes from a desire to be heard, to defend oneself, or to fill a silence that feels uncomfortable. However, reacting without thought usually leads to saying things that are unnecessary, poorly chosen, or even harmful. Slowing down and taking a moment to assess the situation before speaking can prevent conflicts and lead to more productive conversations. It allows time to filter out emotions that may cloud judgment and ensure that words are aligned with one's true intentions. Emotions play a significant role in how people communicate. When anger, frustration, or stress take control, words tend to come out in ways that may not reflect a person's true thoughts or feelings. Speaking while emotionally charged often results in exaggeration, accusations, or harshness that only makes a situation worse. A short pause to process emotions before speaking can prevent unnecessary arguments and lead to more rational discussions. Instead of allowing emotions to drive the conversation, stepping back and considering the best response creates a calmer and more controlled interaction. One of the biggest mistakes in communication is speaking without fully understanding the other person's perspective. Many people listen just to respond rather than to understand. Instead of carefully processing what is being said, they focus on formulating their reply. This leads to misunderstandings, assumptions, and conversations that feel more like competitions than genuine exchanges. Taking the time to absorb and interpret what the other person is saying allows for a more thoughtful and meaningful response. It also demonstrates respect and consideration, making the conversation more productive. The choice of words matters just as much as the message itself. Poorly chosen words can easily distort meaning and create unintended offense. A simple statement can be received as rude, dismissive, or confrontational if phrased carelessly. Thinking before speaking means considering how words will be perceived and adjusting them to ensure clarity and kindness. Even difficult conversations can be handled with respect when words are chosen carefully. Pausing before speaking also allows space for better questions. Instead of jumping to conclusions or assuming intentions, taking a moment to ask clarifying questions leads to deeper understanding. Many conflicts arise because of misinterpretations or lack of information. Asking, "What do you mean by that?" or "Can you explain more?" instead of reacting immediately can prevent unnecessary tension and help both parties find common ground. Thoughtful questions create a sense of openness and help move conversations towards solutions rather than conflict. The habit of thinking before speaking also builds credibility. People who are known for speaking with thoughtfulness and precision are more respected and trusted. Their words carry weight because they are not thrown around carelessly. When someone takes the time to consider their words, others listen more attentively. This is particularly valuable in professional settings, where rushed or poorly worded statements can damage reputations, relationships, and even careers. A well-thought-out response demonstrates confidence, intelligence, and self-control, all of which are qualities that earn respect. Everyday interactions provide opportunities to practice mindful speech. Whether in conversations with family, colleagues, or strangers, taking a moment to think before responding leads to more meaningful and effective communication. Small adjustments, such as taking a deep breath before answering a difficult question or repeating the other person's statement in your mind before replying, can make a significant difference. Over time, these habits become second nature, allowing for more intentional and impactful conversations. Controlling impulsive speech requires discipline, but it is a skill that can be developed with consistent effort. Awareness is the first step. Paying attention to moments when emotions rise or when the urge to respond quickly appears allows for conscious correction. Training the mind to pause, reflect, and then speak creates a natural filter that prevents thoughtless words from slipping out. Writing down thoughts before discussing a difficult topic, practicing silence when unsure of what to say, or counting to 3 before responding in a heated situation are simple techniques that reinforce this habit. Many regrets in life stem from words spoken too quickly. Apologies can be made, but the damage done by reckless speech often lingers. A moment of thought before speaking can prevent years of regret. Relationships are built and broken by words, and a single careless remark can undo years of trust. Being mindful of what is said and how it is said protects relationships and fosters stronger connections. The practice of thoughtful speech extends beyond personal interactions. Social media, emails, and text messages have made communication instantaneous, but they have also made it easier to respond impulsively without considering the consequences. Many people type messages in anger or frustration, only to regret them later. Applying the same principle of thinking before speaking to written communication ensures that messages are clear, respectful, and productive. Before sending a response, rereading it with a fresh perspective can prevent misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict. Thinking before speaking also promotes inner peace. Words carry energy, and constantly engaging in reactive speech creates stress and negativity. A controlled approach to communication reduces unnecessary drama and allows for a calmer state of mind. Speaking with awareness fosters patience, understanding, and emotional balance, which benefits not only relationships with others, but also one's personal well-being. The goal is not to speak less, but to speak better. Every word should serve a purpose, whether to inform, encourage, clarify, or connect. Intentional communication transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful exchanges. It eliminates misunderstandings, strengthens relationships, and builds a reputation of reliability and wisdom. Practicing this discipline daily leads to a greater sense of control, confidence, and overall effectiveness in life. Mastering the ability to think before speaking is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. It enhances relationships, prevents unnecessary conflict, and promotes personal growth. Choosing words carefully ensures that every interaction is constructive rather than destructive. The effort to pause, reflect, and then speak creates a lasting impact, making conversations more meaningful and relationships more fulfilling. The ability to communicate with thoughtfulness and intention is a powerful tool that influences not just personal success, but also the way one is perceived and remembered by others. Chapter 3. Avoid words that hurt you and others. Words are powerful. They shape the way people see us, influence how we feel, and determine the quality of our relationships. Yet, so many of us speak without fully understanding the impact of what we say. The wrong words, even when spoken casually, can leave deep scars, and sometimes they can damage things beyond repair. Many conflicts begin with words. A thoughtless comment, a harsh criticism, or a passive-aggressive remark can ignite arguments that spiral out of control. What starts as a simple conversation can quickly become an emotional battlefield. The problem isn't just what is said, it's how it's said. Words can lift someone up or tear them down. They can heal wounds or deepen them. They can bring people closer or push them apart. Think about a time when someone's words hurt you. Maybe it was an insult, a harsh judgment, or a careless joke at your expense. That moment may have lasted only a few seconds, but its effect stayed with you. Maybe it made you feel small, embarrassed, or unworthy. Now think of a time when you were the one who spoke in a way that hurt someone else. Maybe you didn't intend to cause harm, but once the words left your mouth, you saw the damage they caused. The regret, the tension, and the distance it created were undeniable. So why do we say things that hurt others and ourselves? Often it happens because we react instead of responding. When emotions run high, words come out before we have the chance to consider their consequences. Anger, frustration, or impatience can make us say things we don't truly mean. But once they're spoken, they can't be taken back. Other times, we use words carelessly without considering how they might affect someone else. We joke at the wrong time, criticize too harshly, or speak without empathy, thinking it's harmless, only to later realize the weight of what we've said. Speaking without awareness doesn't just hurt others, it also affects how we see ourselves. The words we use reflect our mindset, our values, and our emotional state. When we constantly speak negatively, complain, or criticize, we reinforce those patterns in our own minds. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, not capable, or not worthy, those words shape your reality. Your brain listens to the words you say, and over time it begins to believe them. The same is true for how we talk about others. If our words are filled with criticism, gossip, or negativity, we train our minds to focus on flaws and shortcomings. This doesn't just make our relationships weaker, it also makes us less happy. Negativity breeds more negativity, and the more we engage in harmful speech, the more it affects our own peace of mind. On the other hand, when we choose our words with care, we change the way we experience life. Words that encourage, uplift, and bring clarity create stronger connections. They build trust and respect. They show maturity, emotional intelligence, and wisdom. When we speak with kindness and honesty, we create an environment where others feel safe and valued. The quality of our communication determines the quality of our relationships, and strong relationships are built on thoughtful, intentional speech. This isn't about avoiding difficult conversations or never expressing frustration. There are times when we need to address problems, express disappointment, or give honest feedback. But there's a difference between speaking truthfully and speaking hurtfully. The way we say something matters just as much as what we say. A conversation can either open the door to understanding or shut it completely, and our words determine the outcome. One of the most important skills in life is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Not every thought needs to be spoken, and not every reaction deserves a response. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause before speaking. That moment of pause allows you to check your emotions, consider the impact of your words, and choose how to respond rather than react. It gives you control over what comes out of your mouth, instead of letting emotions take over. Think about the people you respect the most. Chances are, they don't speak carelessly, they don't engage in gossip, they don't tear others down, and they don't let anger control their words. Instead, they speak with clarity, wisdom, and kindness. They listen before they respond. They think about how their words affect others. That level of self-control isn't just a habit, it's a skill that takes practice. One way to develop this skill is to pay attention to the words you use daily. Notice how you speak to yourself. Are your words building you up or tearing you down? Notice how you speak to others. Are your words encouraging, thoughtful, and respectful, or do they often come from a place of frustration, impatience, or negativity? Awareness is the first step toward change. Once you recognize the patterns in your speech, you can begin to shift them. If you find yourself speaking negatively often, try replacing criticism with constructive feedback. Instead of saying, "You always mess things up," say, "I think there's a better way to handle this." If you tend to complain, try shifting your focus to solutions. Instead of saying, "Everything is going wrong," say, "This is a challenge, but I'll find a way through it." These small shifts in language make a big difference over time. They don't just change how others perceive you, they change how you perceive yourself. Another powerful practice is learning to listen more than you speak. When you truly listen, you understand the situation better. You catch things you might have missed if you were focused on what you wanted to say next. Listening helps you respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. It also makes people feel heard, and feeling heard is one of the most valuable things you can offer in any conversation. When you learn to control your words, you gain power over your life. You become someone people trust, respect, and want to be around. You create an atmosphere of peace rather than conflict. You build deeper connections because your words make others feel understood and valued. Every day presents opportunities to choose your words wisely. Every conversation is a chance to practice restraint, kindness, and intentionality. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you'll notice that your relationships improve, your stress levels decrease, and your inner peace grows. Words are one of the most valuable things we have, and how we use them determines the life we create. Speak in a way that brings more understanding, not division. Speak in a way that strengthens, not weakens. Speak in a way that leaves people better than you found them. Your words have power. Use them well. Chapter 4. Develop better communication habits. The way people communicate defines the way they live. Every word, every tone, and every pause shapes relationships, determines outcomes, and influences how others perceive them. Some people speak in a way that attracts respect, trust, and cooperation, while others find themselves misunderstood, ignored, or constantly at odds with those around them. The difference isn't intelligence or luck, it's the habits they've developed in the way they express themselves. Good communication isn't about using big words or sounding impressive. It's about clarity, awareness, and the ability to connect. Conversations either build bridges or create walls. Some people struggle to get their point across because they speak in circles or overwhelm others with too much detail. Others speak too little, expecting people to understand what they mean without giving enough context. Then there are those who communicate aggressively, pushing their opinions without considering how they come across. The common thread in all these cases is a lack of awareness. People who struggle to communicate effectively don't always realize what they're doing wrong, but the consequences show up in their daily interactions. They experience unnecessary arguments, misunderstandings, and frustration, wondering why things never go smoothly. The key to better communication isn't just speaking clearly. It's about understanding how words affect others and how they can be used to guide a conversation in a way that leads to positive results. The first step in improving the way someone communicates is learning to slow down. Many people speak without fully processing their thoughts. They say whatever comes to mind without checking if it's necessary or helpful. When people rush their words, they increase the chance of being misunderstood or saying something they don't truly mean. Taking a moment to gather thoughts before speaking makes a conversation more productive and prevents regret later. Listening is just as important as speaking. Many people hear words but don't truly listen. They wait for their turn to talk instead of absorbing what the other person is saying. This creates a cycle where both sides feel unheard and the conversation goes nowhere. When people take the time to fully understand what's being said before responding, they naturally become better at expressing themselves. Thoughtful listening allows for more meaningful responses rather than quick reactions based on assumptions. Another important habit is choosing words carefully. People often underestimate the impact of their tone and phrasing. The same message can come across as respectful or rude, depending on how it's delivered. For example, asking someone to help in a direct but polite way creates a cooperative atmosphere, while demanding the same thing with a harsh tone creates resistance. Words should be chosen with intention, ensuring they reflect the message accurately without triggering unnecessary defensiveness. Pauses are just as powerful as words. Some people talk too much, filling every silence with unnecessary details, while others don't say enough, leaving others confused about their point. Learning when to pause and allow a conversation to breathe is a sign of confidence and control. Silence isn't something to be feared, it's a tool that can be used to emphasize important points and allow others to process information before responding. One of the biggest barriers to good communication is emotional reaction. When people feel attacked, frustrated, or impatient, their words become weapons instead of tools for understanding. Responding emotionally rather than thoughtfully leads to arguments, hurt feelings, and unnecessary tension. Learning to separate emotions from speech allows for clear, effective dialogue instead of heated exchanges that solve nothing. Instead of reacting immediately to something upsetting, taking a moment to assess the situation and respond calmly changes the entire dynamic of a conversation. Confidence in communication comes from knowing the value of one's words. People who doubt themselves either speak too hesitantly or overcompensate by speaking too aggressively. Both approaches weaken their message. When someone believes in what they're saying and delivers their words with assurance, people take them more seriously. Confidence doesn't mean speaking the loudest or dominating the conversation. It means expressing thoughts with clarity and certainty. Everyday conversations shape reputations. The way people talk at work, with family, and in social situations creates an impression that sticks. Someone who frequently interrupts or speaks over others develops a reputation for being impatient or inconsiderate. A person who complains constantly is seen as negative, even if they don't intend to be. Someone who speaks with respect and consideration, however, is remembered as someone worth listening to. Small adjustments in the way people communicate make a huge difference in how they are perceived and how others respond to them. Being mindful of body language is just as important as the words being spoken. Communication isn't just about what is said, but also about how it is delivered. Crossed arms, lack of eye contact, or an impatient stance can contradict words and send mixed messages. On the other hand, maintaining an open posture, using eye contact, and nodding occasionally to show engagement strengthens the message. People respond not just to what they hear, but to what they see. When words and body language are aligned, communication becomes more effective. A common mistake people make is assuming that others understand what they mean without making sure their message is clear. Assumptions lead to confusion, frustration, and unnecessary disagreements. Clarifying expectations and confirming that the message has been understood prevents miscommunication. Asking simple follow-up questions like, "Does that make sense?" or "Do you need more details?" makes conversation smoother and ensures that both sides are on the same page. Adapting to different communication styles is another crucial skill. Not everyone speaks the same way or processes information at the same speed. Some people prefer direct answers, while others need more explanation. Some communicate better through written messages, while others do better in face-to-face conversations. Understanding these differences and adjusting accordingly prevents unnecessary friction. It also shows emotional intelligence, making conversations more productive and reducing misunderstandings. Effective communication isn't just about avoiding problems, it's about building stronger connections. When people feel heard and understood, relationships improve. Friendships deepen, work environments become more harmonious, and personal interactions become more meaningful. When communication is handled with care, respect, and thoughtfulness, conflicts decrease and cooperation increases. People who master the art of communication find that life becomes easier. They spend less time clarifying misunderstandings and fixing unnecessary mistakes. They navigate social and professional situations with more ease. They gain respect without having to demand it. Speaking well isn't about impressing others, it's about creating clarity, avoiding conflict, and making sure words serve a purpose. Improving communication isn't something that happens overnight, but small daily changes create lasting results. Paying attention to how words affect others, slowing down before speaking, and making an effort to truly listen build a strong foundation. Every conversation is an opportunity to practice and refine these skills. The way people speak influences every part of their lives. Good communication opens doors, strengthens relationships, and creates a sense of confidence in navigating any situation. Choosing words wisely, listening with full attention, and controlling emotions when speaking lead to a life with fewer misunderstandings and more meaningful connections. The ability to communicate well is one of the most valuable skills anyone can develop, and it starts with a decision to be more intentional with every conversation. Chapter 5. Train your mind to stay focused. The world around us is filled with distractions. Our phones constantly buzz with notifications, the noise of daily life constantly pulling us in different directions, and our own thoughts race in every direction too. Focus has become a rare commodity, something that many of us struggle to maintain for more than a few minutes at a time. But it doesn't have to be this way. The ability to focus, to direct our attention with purpose and clarity, is a skill that can be developed, strengthened, and mastered. Training your mind to stay focused doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't come easily. It takes patience, practice, and persistence. But the rewards are immeasurable. When you can focus your mind on what truly matters, you open the door to greater productivity, deeper understanding, and a sense of peace that comes with knowing that you are fully engaged in the present moment. At its core, focus is about choosing where you direct your energy. It's easy to get caught up in the endless stream of thoughts, distractions, and responsibilities. But each time you choose to focus on what is important, whether it's a task, a conversation, or even your own thoughts, you are making an investment in yourself and your future. The first step in training your mind to stay focused is recognizing how scattered your attention might be. Take a moment and think about the last time you were trying to get something done. How often did you find your mind drifting off to something else? How often did you check your phone, daydream, or start thinking about unrelated tasks? Recognizing these distractions is crucial because it allows you to take control. Only when you're aware of how easily your focus shifts can you begin to bring it back to where it matters. One of the biggest barriers to focus is the constant influx of information. In today's world, we're bombarded with messages, emails, social media updates, and news articles. This constant stream of information divides our attention and prevents us from engaging deeply with the task at hand. It's like trying to hold a conversation with someone while having multiple conversations at once. It's almost impossible to truly listen to any one of them. But focus isn't about ignoring everything else. It's about deciding what deserves your attention at that moment. Building focus starts with a simple choice: deciding to focus. This doesn't mean forcing your mind to stay still or silent. It means actively choosing to direct your thoughts and attention towards something specific. Whether you're working on a project, listening to a friend, or even simply thinking through a problem, the act of choosing to focus is the foundation of everything else. One powerful way to train your mind to stay focused is by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present in the moment, of tuning into your surroundings and experiences without judgment. When you're mindful, you're not distracted by what's happening in the past or future. You're focused entirely on what's in front of you. Practicing mindfulness can be as simple as paying full attention to the task at hand, whether that's eating a meal, having a conversation, or even doing household chores. By giving your full attention to these moments, you strengthen your ability to stay focused in all areas of life. But mindfulness alone isn't enough. The next step is to eliminate as many distractions as possible. This may sound obvious, but it's amazing how many people fail to create an environment conducive to focus. If you're working, for example, make sure your workspace is clear of clutter and free from distractions. Turn off notifications on your phone and computer, close irrelevant tabs, and set clear boundaries with others. The fewer distractions you have, the easier it will be to focus. Another key aspect of focus is managing your energy. It's not just about where you put your attention, it's also about how much energy you have to give. If you're feeling tired, drained, or overwhelmed, your ability to focus will be significantly diminished. Take care of your physical and mental health by getting enough sleep, eating nourishing food, and engaging in regular physical activity. When your body is well rested and energized, your mind can focus more effectively. One of the most effective ways to train your focus is through deliberate practice. This means setting aside time to practice focusing on one thing for a set period. Start small and gradually increase the amount of time you spend focusing on a task. For example, you might begin by setting a timer for 10 minutes and focusing solely on one task during that time. After a week or two, increase the timer to 15 minutes, then 20, and so on. The more you practice, the stronger your focus muscles will become. Focus is also about learning to resist the urge to multitask. Many people believe that multitasking makes them more productive, but studies have shown that multitasking actually reduces our ability to focus and can make us less efficient. When we try to do several things at once, our brain has to switch rapidly between tasks, and each time it does, we lose valuable mental energy. Instead, commit to focusing on one thing at a time. You'll be surprised at how much more you can accomplish when you give your full attention to a single task. Another crucial element in maintaining focus is managing your internal distractions. Our thoughts often wander to things that are unrelated to the task at hand, like worries about the future or memories of the past. These thoughts are natural, but they can easily pull us away from the present moment. The key to managing these distractions is not to fight them, but to acknowledge them and gently redirect your attention back to the task at hand. This is where mindfulness practices become especially helpful. By learning to observe your thoughts without getting attached to them, you can more easily bring your focus back to where it belongs. Remember, training your mind to stay focused isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. The goal is to build a habit of focus so that over time it becomes second nature. The more you practice, the stronger your ability to concentrate will become, and the more you'll be able to accomplish. There's no magic trick to maintaining focus, no secret formula that will make it effortless. It's a skill that requires time, patience, and daily practice. But every time you make the conscious choice to focus your attention on something that matters, you're building a foundation for greater productivity, deeper satisfaction, and more meaningful results. Focus is not just about getting things done. It's about being present, being engaged, and being intentional in everything you do. It's about training your mind to be in the moment, to give your full attention to whatever is in front of you, and to do so with purpose and clarity. When you master the art of focus, you unlock the potential to achieve anything you set your mind to. Chapter 6. Replace negative thoughts with clear thinking. It's easy to fall into negative thinking. Life throws challenges our way, and it's natural for our minds to focus on the worst-case scenarios. Whether it's fear of failure, doubt about our abilities, or worries about what others think, negative thoughts have a way of creeping in and taking over. But here's the thing, negative thoughts are not facts. They are just that. Thoughts. And like any other thought, they can be changed, shifted, and redirected. The key is learning to recognize them and replacing them with clear, constructive thinking. The mind has a tendency to gravitate toward negativity. It's part of our survival instinct. Our ancestors had to be on the lookout for danger, and this negativity bias helped them survive in a world full of threats. But in modern life, we don't face the same life or death situations, yet our minds still function as if every little problem is a potential disaster. This is why we so often find ourselves overwhelmed by thoughts of failure, rejection, or disaster. But the truth is, our minds are incredibly powerful. The thoughts we think shape our reality. If we let negative thoughts dominate, they begin to influence our actions, our mood, and the way we see ourselves. Negative thinking becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we dwell on the negative, the more we convince ourselves that things won't work out. We start to believe that we're not good enough, that we'll never succeed, or that bad things are bound to happen. But this kind of thinking is not only unproductive, it's also inaccurate. The first step in replacing negative thoughts with clear thinking is to recognize when negativity takes hold. Often, negative thoughts show up as an immediate reaction to a situation. You get a critical email from your boss, and immediately your mind starts spiraling. I'm going to lose my job. They're going to fire me. I'm not good enough. These thoughts come fast and uninvited, and before you know it, you've already convinced yourself that the worst is about to happen. Recognizing these automatic, negative thoughts is the first step in breaking the cycle. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, pause for a moment. Acknowledge the thought without judgment. Just notice it. This act of awareness is powerful because it gives you the space to make a conscious decision about how to respond. The next step is to challenge the negative thought. Ask yourself, is this really true? What evidence do I have to support this thought? Am I jumping to conclusions? By questioning the validity of your thoughts, you begin to shift from automatic, negative thinking to a more reasoned and clear way of thinking. For example, if you think, "I'll never succeed," take a moment to ask yourself, what is the evidence that this is true? You might remember times when you have succeeded in the past, even in the face of challenges. Perhaps you've overcome difficult situations or reached goals you once thought were impossible. By focusing on the facts, you begin to replace the negativity with a clearer, more realistic perspective. Another important technique is to replace negative thoughts with more constructive alternatives. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," try reframing it to, "I am capable and I am always learning and growing." Instead of worrying, "What if I fail?" try thinking, "I have the skills and resilience to overcome obstacles, and failure is simply part of the journey." Reframing allows you to redirect your thoughts from fear and doubt to confidence and possibility. It's important to remember that replacing negative thoughts with clear thinking is not about pretending that everything is perfect. Life has challenges, and it's okay to feel frustrated, scared, or upset at times. What matters is how you respond to those feelings. Rather than letting negative thoughts take over, you can choose to acknowledge the reality of the situation, accept that challenges are part of life, and focus on how you can move forward. Clear thinking doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means facing them head-on with a positive and practical mindset. Another key to replacing negative thoughts with clear thinking is to practice gratitude. When we focus on what we don't have or what's wrong in our lives, it's easy to fall into a negative spiral. But when we intentionally focus on what we're grateful for, we begin to shift our focus from lack to abundance. Gratitude grounds us in the present moment and reminds us of the many good things we already have. Take a moment every day to reflect on what you're thankful for. It can be as simple as appreciating a warm cup of coffee in the morning, the support of a friend, or the fact that you have a roof over your head. The more you practice gratitude, the more you train your mind to focus on the positive, even in challenging situations. And when you focus on the positive, you start to see more opportunities and solutions rather than just obstacles. It's also helpful to create mental space for positive thinking by limiting the amount of negative input you receive. We're constantly surrounded by news, social media, and conversations that can be filled with negativity. While it's important to stay informed, it's equally important to protect your mind from becoming overwhelmed by negative information. Be intentional about what you expose yourself to. Surround yourself with positivity, whether that's uplifting books, motivational podcasts, or conversations with people who encourage and inspire you. By choosing what you consume, you create an environment where clear, constructive thinking can thrive. Replacing negative thoughts with clear thinking also involves practicing patience and self-compassion. Often, we are our own harshest critics. When we make a mistake or fall short of our goals, we beat ourselves up with negative self-talk. But this kind of thinking only keeps us stuck in a cycle of shame and frustration. Instead of criticizing yourself, practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that mistakes are a part of the learning process and that it's okay to be imperfect. By treating yourself with kindness, you give yourself the mental space to learn, grow, and improve. One of the most powerful ways to shift your thinking is by focusing on solutions, not problems. When you find yourself ruminating on a difficult situation, ask yourself, what can I do right now to make things better? Shift your attention from what's wrong to what's within your control. When you focus on solutions, your mind becomes clearer, more focused and more empowered. You stop wasting energy on worry and start using that energy to take action. In the long run, replacing negative thoughts with clear thinking becomes a habit that transforms the way you approach life. When you change the way you think, you change the way you experience the world. Clear thinking opens up possibilities, encourages growth, and builds confidence. It allows you to approach challenges with a calm, focused mind and to find solutions instead of getting stuck in negativity. The more you practice replacing negative thoughts with clear thinking, the more natural it becomes. Your mind will begin to default to positivity and clarity instead of fear and doubt. And as your thinking shifts, so too will your actions. You'll find yourself making decisions based on confidence, taking on challenges with enthusiasm, and seeing opportunities where you once saw only obstacles. Remember, your thoughts are not who you are, they are simply reflections of the mind in motion. You have the power to choose which thoughts you give attention to. By replacing negativity with clarity, you take control of your mind and create a life that is guided by purpose, optimism, and possibility. Chapter 7. Stop overthinking and take action. Overthinking can be paralyzing. It's that constant stream of thoughts that never seems to stop, looping over and over, each thought building on the last one, creating a spiral that feels impossible to escape. You sit there, caught in a cycle of analysis, trying to figure out every angle, every possible outcome, yet accomplishing nothing. The more you think, the less you do, and the longer you stay trapped in this cycle, the more overwhelmed you become. We've all been there. That moment when a decision seems so huge, so important, that you get caught up in the details, the possibilities, and the potential consequences. It's easy to convince yourself that if you just think a little bit more, you'll come to the perfect solution. But what happens is that the longer you dwell, the more uncertain you feel, and the more distant action becomes. Overthinking doesn't lead to clarity, it leads to confusion, and in that confusion, you can find yourself stuck, unable to move forward. The truth is, overthinking is a trap. It's not a tool for making better decisions, it's a tool for avoiding them. You may think you're being cautious or thorough, but what you're really doing is delaying action. It's like trying to run a race, but spending all your time studying the track instead of running on it. In the end, all that time spent thinking doesn't move you any closer to your goal. The first step in stopping overthinking is recognizing that it's happening. Most of the time, we're not even aware that we're stuck in this mental loop. It feels natural. We tell ourselves, I need to think this through, or I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. But in reality, all that thinking is keeping us from doing anything at all. It's a protective instinct. Our minds want to ensure that we make the right choice, but the irony is that the more we think, the more we hold ourselves back. When you catch yourself overthinking, the next step is to interrupt the cycle. One of the most effective ways to break free from overthinking is to shift your focus. If you're dwelling on a decision, instead of trying to think your way through it, take a step back and focus on something else entirely. Go for a walk, do something physical, or engage in a completely unrelated task. By stepping away from the mental pressure, you allow your mind to relax and reset. Often, when you come back to the situation with a fresh perspective, the answer will be clearer and more straightforward. Another strategy for overcoming overthinking is to set a time limit for your decision-making process. We often get stuck in analysis because we feel like we need more time to figure things out. But the truth is, there's no such thing as perfect information. No matter how long you think about something, there will always be unknowns. Setting a deadline for yourself helps you commit to a decision rather than endlessly circling around it. Whether it's 5 minutes, 15 or an hour, decide in advance how long you'll spend thinking about the situation and then take action. This approach forces you to trust yourself and your ability to make decisions, even if they're not perfect. Taking action doesn't always mean making a huge life-altering decision right away. Sometimes, the first step is just to make any decision at all, no matter how small. Often, the fear of making the wrong choice holds us back, but the truth is that any action is better than none. Action creates momentum, and once you start moving, it's easier to adjust along the way. It's much easier to steer a car that's already moving than one that's stuck in park. There's also power in simplifying your options. Overthinking often happens when we feel overwhelmed by too many choices. We think about every possibility, every outcome, and the potential risks of each one. This constant weighing of options leads to confusion and hesitation. Instead, try to narrow your choices down to just a few key options. Limit your focus to the most important factors and make a decision based on those. This doesn't mean you have to make the perfect choice. It just means you're making a choice that moves you forward, and that's enough. When we overthink, we often get caught up in the what-ifs. What if I fail? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I look stupid? These what-ifs are a form of fear, and fear often leads to paralysis. But here's the thing, fear of failure is normal. Everyone feels it at some point, and the only way to move past it is to take action despite the fear. The more you face your fears and take action, the less power fear has over you. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or for the fear to go away. It's about acting in spite of it. Taking action also means learning to trust yourself. Overthinking often stems from a lack of trust in our own judgment. We second-guess ourselves, replaying the situation over and over, looking for the perfect solution. But the truth is, you have the ability to make good decisions. You don't need to have all the answers, and you don't need to predict every possible outcome. Trust that you'll handle whatever comes your way. The more you trust your instincts and your ability to make decisions, the less you'll find yourself trapped in the cycle of overthinking. Another important aspect of stopping overthinking is learning to embrace imperfection. We often overthink because we're afraid of making the wrong decision or doing something less than perfectly. But the truth is, nothing in life is ever perfect. Every decision comes with risks, uncertainties, and the potential for failure. The key is to accept that imperfection is part of the process. The sooner you let go of the need for perfection, the sooner you'll be able to take action without getting bogged down in the details. It's also helpful to focus on progress, not perfection. Overthinking often happens when we're focused on getting everything just right. We feel the pressure to make the perfect decision, the perfect move. But the truth is, no decision is ever perfect, and no situation is ever flawless. The key is to focus on moving forward, even if it's just a small step. Each action you take brings you closer to your goal, and it's that momentum that helps you build confidence and clarity. Remember, action is the antidote to overthinking. When you stop analyzing and start doing, you shift your energy from fear and doubt to confidence and progress. Each small step you take builds momentum and makes it easier to take the next step. Overthinking loses its power when you're actively moving forward, trusting yourself, and embracing imperfection. Life isn't about waiting for the perfect moment to act. It's about taking action now, knowing that you'll learn and grow along the way. So the next time you find yourself trapped in overthinking, remind yourself that the best way out is through action. Just take the first step and trust that the rest will fall into place. Chapter 8. Build mental discipline for everyday life. Mental discipline is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. It shapes your ability to navigate daily life, handle stress, and achieve your goals. At its core, mental discipline is about exercising control over your thoughts, emotions, and actions, especially when it's difficult. It's the ability to stay focused on what matters most, despite the distractions and challenges that life inevitably throws your way. The good news is that mental discipline isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you can cultivate and strengthen over time. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up consistently and making choices that align with your values and long-term vision. The foundation of mental discipline lies in the ability to control your mind. Our thoughts can often feel like they're in charge, like we're slaves to our impulses or emotions. But the truth is, you have the power to take control of your mind and redirect it toward what's important. Just like training your body in the gym, training your mind requires consistent effort, focus, and practice. The more you practice, the stronger your mental discipline becomes, and the more easily you can overcome the natural tendencies of the mind to wander or get distracted. One of the first steps in building mental discipline is understanding that it's okay to experience distractions, negative thoughts, or emotions. These are normal parts of being human. The difference lies in how you respond to them. Instead of allowing distractions or negative emotions to control you, you learn to recognize them, acknowledge them, and then refocus on what you can control. The moment you start to notice your mind wandering or slipping into negative thought patterns, you have a choice. You can either indulge in those thoughts and emotions, or you can choose to redirect your focus to something more productive. It's helpful to think of mental discipline as a muscle. Just as you would strengthen your physical muscles through exercise, you strengthen your mental muscles by practicing self-control. Every time you choose to refocus your attention, calm your mind, or resist the urge to give in to distractions, you're building that muscle. At first it may feel difficult or uncomfortable, but over time it becomes easier, and you start to see the benefits in your daily life. One powerful tool for building mental discipline is setting clear goals. When you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, it's easier to stay focused and disciplined. Without goals, it's easy to get lost in the noise of daily life, to be pulled in a million different directions, and to end up feeling like you're not making progress. Goals give you something concrete to focus on, something that aligns with your values and long-term desires. They act as a compass, guiding your decisions and actions, even when it's tempting to take shortcuts or get distracted. To build mental discipline, it's not enough to just have goals. You need to break them down into manageable steps. When you focus on small, actionable steps instead of overwhelming yourself with the big picture, it becomes easier to stay on track. Think of it like climbing a mountain. The top of the mountain may seem far away, but when you focus on taking one step at a time, the journey feels more manageable. Breaking down your goals into smaller, daily actions helps you stay disciplined and prevents you from becoming overwhelmed by the process. A key part of mental discipline is learning to control your impulses. Our natural instincts often push us to seek immediate gratification, whether it's the desire to check your phone, eat junk food, or avoid a difficult task. Impulse control is a vital component of mental discipline because it allows you to prioritize long-term rewards over short-term pleasures. For example, rather than giving in to the temptation to scroll through social media or watch TV, you learn to resist and stay focused on the task at hand. It's not about denying yourself pleasures, but about choosing when to indulge and when to exercise restraint. The more you practice impulse control, the easier it becomes to stay focused on your goals and make choices that align with your values. Building mental discipline also requires a strong sense of routine. Routines provide structure and consistency, and they help you stay on track, especially on days when motivation is low. When you build positive habits into your routine, you don't have to rely on willpower to get things done, you just do them. Routines help eliminate the mental energy spent on decision-making and allow you to focus on what matters most. It's about creating a system that supports your goals and helps you make progress, even on the days when you're feeling tired or uninspired. Start by identifying key habits that will support your goals. These could be things like exercising regularly, eating healthy, reading, or meditating. Once you've identified these habits, integrate them into your daily routine. The key is consistency. Mental discipline isn't about doing something perfectly all the time. It's about showing up consistently, even when you don't feel like it. Over time, these habits become automatic, and your mental discipline becomes stronger as a result. It's also important to recognize that building mental discipline doesn't mean being rigid or inflexible. Life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way, and sometimes things don't go according to plan. Building mental discipline is about learning to adapt to those challenges and make adjustments as needed. It's about maintaining your focus on your long-term goals, even when things don't go as expected. Flexibility and adaptability are important aspects of mental discipline because they allow you to respond to life's ups and downs without losing sight of what's important. Another powerful aspect of mental discipline is learning to manage your energy. We all have limited energy each day, and how we choose to spend that energy can make a huge difference in our ability to stay focused and productive. Mental discipline is about being intentional with your energy, choosing where to invest your time and attention in a way that aligns with your goals and values. This means learning to prioritize tasks that move you closer to your goals and saying no to distractions that drain your energy. When you focus on managing your energy, you make conscious decisions about how to spend your time. You identify the tasks that are most important and tackle them first, rather than getting bogged down by less important or more trivial tasks. It's about being mindful of where your attention goes and actively choosing to invest it in activities that will move you forward, rather than letting your energy get scattered in 100 different directions. One of the most powerful tools in building mental discipline is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment or distraction. When you cultivate mindfulness, you develop the ability to focus your attention where it matters most and avoid getting lost in distractions. Mindfulness helps you stay calm, focused and clear-headed, even in the midst of chaos. It's about learning to observe your thoughts and emotions without getting swept up in them. With mindfulness, you create mental space that allows you to make better decisions, stay focused on your goals, and maintain mental clarity. Building mental discipline takes time and patience. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something you can force. The key is consistent practice and a willingness to stay committed to your goals. Over time, you'll begin to see the benefits: increased focus, improved productivity, better decision-making, and a deeper sense of control over your life. Mental discipline is a skill that pays dividends in every area of your life, and as you continue to develop it, you'll find that you're able to achieve more, handle challenges with greater ease, and live with a deeper sense of purpose and satisfaction. Chapter 9. Manage your emotions before they control you. Emotions are a part of life, and trying to avoid them or push them aside only creates more trouble in the long run. They are real and they serve a purpose, but they can also be overwhelming if left unchecked. Whether it's frustration, anger, anxiety, sadness, or joy, emotions can easily take over if we don't learn to manage them. The trick isn't to suppress or ignore them, but to understand them, acknowledge them, and ultimately control them in a way that serves us rather than sabotages us. Understanding emotions is key to managing them. Emotions arise in response to thoughts, experiences, or external events. They're like signals that tell us how we're reacting to the world around us. What we need to recognize is that emotions don't control us unless we let them. They're not facts, but responses. So when you feel angry, sad, or anxious, it's important to pause and reflect on the thought or situation triggering those emotions. Are they based on reality, or are they fueled by assumptions or fears? More often than not, we find that our emotional reactions are exaggerated by how we interpret situations rather than by the situations themselves. This realization gives you power over your emotions. Once you understand that emotions are a response to your thoughts, you can take steps to change your emotional experience by changing how you think. This doesn't mean ignoring the emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about creating a space between feeling and reacting, where you can evaluate the situation and choose how to respond rather than simply being swept away by the current of your emotions. You can train yourself to notice when an emotion is rising, and instead of letting it spiral, take a moment to breathe and consider how to approach it in a way that aligns with your goals and values. When we allow our emotions to control us, they can drive us to make impulsive decisions, say things we don't mean, or act in ways we later regret. In those moments, our emotions are like wild horses pulling us in every direction, and we are powerless to stop them. But we can learn to become the rider, not the passenger, in our emotional journey. It's like having a powerful tool at your disposal. You don't need to be afraid of it. Instead, you learn how to wield it effectively. By building emotional awareness, you give yourself the ability to choose how to react instead of just reacting automatically. Managing your emotions is about responding, not reacting. When you're in a high-stress situation, you might feel your emotions rising, your heart races, your thoughts scatter, and the urge to say or do something impulsive feels overwhelming. In these moments, stop and breathe. The breath is your anchor, a way to pause and ground yourself. Take a slow, deep breath in, and then slowly exhale. This simple act sends a message to your body that it's okay to calm down. In that moment of stillness, you create space to think. You create room to reflect, to understand what's really going on inside, and to choose how to respond. Sometimes, emotions like anger or frustration come up because we feel like we've been wronged or misunderstood. These feelings are natural, but they can lead to reactions that only make things worse if we're not careful. Rather than letting those feelings control us, we can choose to express them in a healthy way. It might mean having a calm conversation with someone about how we're feeling, setting boundaries, or simply letting go of the need to be right. The goal is to find a way to release the emotion in a way that serves us rather than letting it explode and leave destruction in its wake. When it comes to managing emotions, self-awareness is essential. The more you understand yourself, the better equipped you are to handle emotional situations. Pay attention to your emotional patterns. Do certain situations tend to trigger specific emotions? Is there a particular time of day when your emotions feel heightened? Maybe you're more anxious in the mornings, or more impatient when you're hungry. Recognizing these patterns allows you to anticipate emotional responses before they occur, giving you the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Another powerful tool in emotional management is reframing your thoughts. Reframing is about looking at a situation from a different perspective. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, you might feel frustrated and angry because you're running late. But you can reframe the situation by thinking, I can't control the traffic, but I can use this time to listen to a podcast or relax. Instead of feeding into frustration, you turn the situation into an opportunity. Reframing helps you manage your emotions because it shifts the focus from what you can't control to what you can. Sometimes, emotions aren't just about what's happening right now, they're also about the past. Past experiences, traumas, and unresolved issues can all bubble up and affect how we feel in the present. In these cases, it's important to acknowledge those past emotions, but not let them rule our present lives. It might take time to work through these deeper emotional layers, but by understanding where these feelings come from, we can prevent them from dictating our current reactions. Working through these past emotions can involve therapy, journaling, meditation, or simply talking to someone you trust. Mindfulness is another key aspect of emotional management. Being present in the moment allows you to observe your emotions without getting caught up in them. When you practice mindfulness, you're able to separate yourself from the immediate emotional reaction and view it objectively. This perspective shift helps you gain clarity, so instead of reacting impulsively, you can respond thoughtfully. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about creating space to experience them without allowing them to take over. When managing your emotions, it's also essential to practice self-compassion. Emotions can sometimes feel overwhelming, and there's no need to judge yourself for experiencing them. It's okay to feel angry, sad, or frustrated. These feelings are part of being human. The key is how you manage them. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would show a friend who is going through a tough time. When you make a mistake or let your emotions get the best of you, don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge what happened, learn from it, and move forward. Be kind to yourself in the process. Sometimes, the best way to manage emotions is through physical activity. Exercise can help release built-up tension and energy, providing a natural outlet for strong emotions. Whether it's going for a run, practicing yoga, or even just taking a brisk walk, physical movement can help balance the emotional intensity you're feeling. When you engage in exercise, your body releases endorphins, which are natural mood boosters. In this way, exercise is a powerful tool for emotional regulation. Managing emotions is an ongoing practice. There will be days when you feel like you've mastered it, and others when you feel completely overwhelmed. That's okay. What matters is that you keep practicing. You keep showing up, learning about your emotional responses, and making choices that support your emotional well-being. The more you practice emotional awareness, self-compassion, and reflection, the easier it becomes to navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease and stability. Ultimately, managing your emotions is about empowerment. It's about taking control of your emotional life so that you can create the experience you want, rather than letting your emotions dictate it. You are not at the mercy of your feelings. Instead, you have the power to choose how you respond to them. When you learn to manage your emotions, you free yourself from their grip and open up space for peace, clarity, and intentional action. And when you make managing your emotions a consistent part of your life, you begin to see the positive impact it has on every other area of your life: relationships, work, personal growth, and overall well-being. Chapter 10. Break free from anger and frustration. Anger and frustration are emotions that everyone experiences at some point. They can be overwhelming, making you feel like you're losing control, or like the world is pushing you into a corner. These feelings often arise when things don't go as planned, when others don't behave how you expect, or when life simply isn't fair. Anger can make your heart race, your thoughts scatter, and your focus narrow. Frustration often follows closely behind, especially when you feel stuck, like you're trying everything and nothing is working. What's important to realize is that these emotions, while completely normal, don't have to control you. They may show up uninvited, but they don't need to take over your entire day, your life, or your sense of peace. The power to break free from anger and frustration is within you, and the key lies in how you respond to these emotions rather than how they dictate your actions. One of the most crucial steps in dealing with anger and frustration is recognizing when they arise. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of emotions and let them push you into reacting. But the first step in breaking free from them is awareness. This means being able to notice when you're starting to feel that familiar tension in your chest or that rush of heat in your face. It's about tuning in to the physical signals your body gives you when anger or frustration is brewing. Once you recognize that you're becoming angry or frustrated, take a moment to pause. In that pause, you're taking back control. It's as if you're stepping outside of the situation and observing your emotions rather than letting them control your every move. This moment of pause doesn't have to be long. Just a few seconds of deep breathing can make a huge difference. A deep breath signals your brain to slow down, to step away from the fight or flight response, and to reset your thinking. After taking that pause, it's important to examine what's really going on. Anger often arises when we feel hurt, misunderstood, or wronged. Frustration can come from a sense of helplessness or a perceived lack of progress. In both cases, the emotion is rooted in a thought or belief, whether it's a belief that something isn't fair or that you should be further along than you are. Identifying the underlying thought or belief behind the emotion is crucial because it helps you see that the emotion is not an objective reality. It's a response to a thought or belief. Once you recognize the source of your anger or frustration, you can begin to question it. Is this thought serving you? Is it true, or is it an exaggeration of the situation? Often we find that the beliefs fueling our emotions are based on assumptions, misinterpretations, or unrealistic expectations. For example, you might get angry because someone didn't meet your expectations, but when you step back, you realize that your expectations were unrealistic in the first place. When you challenge these thoughts, the power of the emotion diminishes. By questioning the beliefs that are fueling the anger or frustration, you can begin to release their grip on you. Another key part of breaking free from anger and frustration is reframing the situation. Reframing involves looking at the situation from a different perspective. For example, if you're frustrated because a project at work isn't going as planned, instead of focusing on the setbacks, you could shift your attention to what you're learning from the experience. Maybe things aren't going perfectly, but you're gaining valuable insights that will help you in the future. Reframing doesn't change the situation, but it changes how you feel about it and how you approach it. In the same way, anger can be reframed by changing the way you view the other person or situation. If someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of getting angry at them, you can reframe the situation by thinking, maybe they're having a tough day or rushing to an emergency. This shift in perspective doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it helps you let go of the anger and move forward with a sense of peace. The more you practice reframing, the easier it becomes to break free from the grip of anger and frustration. Another powerful tool in managing anger and frustration is acceptance. Often we get angry or frustrated because we resist how things are. We want things to be different, more fair, more orderly, more easy. But life is unpredictable, and things rarely go exactly as planned. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to bad circumstances. It means acknowledging reality as it is and choosing to move forward with grace. When you accept the situation as it is, without fighting against it, you can shift from frustration to action. Acceptance also involves letting go of the need to control everything. Frustration often comes from the feeling that things are outside of our control, but the truth is, we can't control everything, and we shouldn't try to. Instead of fighting against what's out of your hands, focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, your responses. When you let go of the need to control everything around you, you free yourself from the heavy burden of frustration. One of the most effective ways to break free from anger and frustration is by taking responsibility for your emotions. This means recognizing that you are the one in charge of how you respond, even if you can't control the external situation. It's easy to blame others or circumstances for our emotional reactions, but doing so only gives away your power. By taking responsibility, you claim that power back. You acknowledge that while you can't control other people or external events, you have complete control over how you respond. This shift in perspective is liberating because it places the power back in your hands. Sometimes it's helpful to express your emotions in a healthy way. Holding on to anger or frustration can lead to bitterness and resentment, which only causes more harm in the long run. Instead of letting these emotions fester, find a way to release them. This might involve talking to someone you trust, writing in a journal, or even engaging in physical activity to release built-up tension. The key is to find a healthy outlet for your emotions, rather than bottling them up or letting them explode in an uncontrolled way. Breaking free from anger and frustration also requires cultivating patience. Patience isn't just about waiting for things to improve, it's about remaining calm and composed even in the face of difficulty. When you cultivate patience, you give yourself the time and space to process your emotions before reacting. Patience is a skill that takes practice, but it can transform your experience of anger and frustration. Instead of rushing to conclusions or acting impulsively, you learn to wait for the right moment to respond. Finally, breaking free from anger and frustration involves practicing self-care. When you're well-rested, well-nourished, and taking care of your mental and emotional health, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by negative emotions. Self-care is about setting boundaries, taking breaks, and nurturing yourself so that you can handle life's challenges with greater ease. It's about being kind to yourself, especially during difficult times. When you make self-care a priority, you build resilience, and that resilience helps you manage your emotions more effectively. Breaking free from anger and frustration isn't a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. It takes practice, self-awareness, and a commitment to emotional growth. By learning to recognize, understand, and manage these emotions, you can free yourself from their grip and move forward with a greater sense of peace and control. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to navigate the challenges of life without being consumed by anger or frustration. And the more you practice, the more empowered you become to live a life that's aligned with your values, your goals, and your true sense of self. Chapter 11. Develop a steady and positive mindset. A steady and positive mindset isn't something you're born with, it's something you create. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring the struggles you face, but rather about developing the strength to face challenges with resilience, optimism, and a belief that things can improve. It's about training your mind to focus on what you can control, shifting your perspective in the face of difficulties, and cultivating a sense of peace no matter what life throws your way. The first step to developing a steady and positive mindset is understanding that your thoughts shape your reality. What you think about the world, about yourself, and about your future directly influences how you feel and act. If your mind is filled with negative, limiting beliefs, your actions will reflect that. On the other hand, if you train your mind to focus on the positive, on solutions, and on possibilities, your actions will align with that mindset. This doesn't mean ignoring the hard things in life, but it does mean choosing not to let them define you or dictate your emotions. One of the most powerful ways to shift your mindset is by changing the stories you tell yourself. Every person has an internal narrative that shapes how they view the world. This narrative is often influenced by past experiences, fears, and beliefs. If you've experienced failure or disappointment in the past, you might tell yourself stories about how you're not good enough or that things will never change. But you can rewrite those stories. Instead of focusing on your past mistakes or struggles, shift your focus to your strengths, your growth, and the opportunities ahead. Your story is not fixed. It's something you can change at any time. Start by paying attention to your thoughts. Are they mostly positive or negative? Do they focus on what's possible or what's impossible? Do you find yourself dwelling on your shortcomings or celebrating your progress? Once you become aware of the patterns in your thinking, you can begin to make conscious choices about how you want to think. You don't have to believe every thought that pops into your head. You can choose to challenge negative thoughts and replace them with thoughts that empower you. For example, instead of thinking, "I can't do this," try replacing that thought with, "I may not know how to do this yet, but I'm capable of figuring it out." Shifting your thoughts in this way creates a ripple effect that strengthens your mindset over time. Another key to developing a steady and positive mindset is practicing gratitude. It's easy to get caught up in what's not going well in our lives, but gratitude forces you to look at what is going right. Every day there are things to be thankful for, even if they're small. Maybe you had a great conversation with a friend, or you took a walk outside and enjoyed the fresh air. Maybe you had a peaceful moment of silence to yourself. These moments are easy to overlook, but they're the building blocks of a positive mindset. When you practice gratitude, you train your brain to focus on the good, and over time this becomes your default way of thinking. You can start by keeping a gratitude journal. Each day write down 3 things you're thankful for. They don't have to be big things, just whatever stands out in your day. This simple practice shifts your focus from scarcity and struggle to abundance and possibility. As you continue to practice gratitude, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. You'll begin to see the positive aspects of your life more clearly, and your mindset will naturally become more steady and optimistic. Another way to strengthen your mindset is by surrounding yourself with positive influences. The people you spend time with have a significant impact on your thoughts and emotions. If you're constantly around negative, critical people, it can be hard to maintain a positive mindset. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, it becomes easier to stay positive, even during tough times. Choose to spend time with people who inspire you, who encourage your growth, and who challenge you to be your best self. At the same time, it's important to limit your exposure to negativity in all forms. This means being mindful of the media you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the environments you put yourself in. If you're constantly watching negative news, reading pessimistic articles, or having conversations that drain your energy, it can be hard to maintain a steady mindset. Take control of what you expose yourself to. Choose to surround yourself with positivity, whether it's through books, podcasts, uplifting conversations, or inspirational social media accounts. Your environment plays a major role in shaping your mindset, so make sure it's one that supports your growth. A steady mindset is also built on the foundation of self-care. When you take care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being, you're better equipped to handle life's challenges with grace and resilience. Self-care isn't just about pampering yourself, it's about giving yourself the tools you need to stay strong, focused, and centered. This might mean getting enough sleep, eating nourishing foods, exercising regularly, or engaging in activities that bring you joy and peace. The more you take care of yourself, the more resilient you become in the face of adversity. Self-compassion is another vital component of a steady mindset. We are often our own harshest critics, beating ourselves up for mistakes, failures, or things we feel we should have done differently. But self-compassion means treating yourself with kindness and understanding, especially when things don't go as planned. It means acknowledging your flaws and mistakes without letting them define you. Instead of thinking, "I messed up," try thinking, "I made a mistake, but I'm learning and growing from it." This shift in self-talk builds a foundation of self-acceptance, which in turn helps you maintain a positive mindset, even when things aren't perfect. One of the most important things to remember when developing a steady mindset is that it's a process, not a destination. You're not going to wake up one day with a completely positive and steady mindset. It takes time, effort, and practice. Some days will be harder than others, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up for yourself and keep working on building a mindset that supports your growth. Even on the tough days, remind yourself that you have the power to choose your response. You may not be able to control everything that happens, but you can control how you think and how you react. In the face of challenges, a steady and positive mindset allows you to stay grounded. It helps you keep a clear head and a calm heart, even when things feel overwhelming. With a steady mindset, you can approach problems with a solution-oriented attitude rather than getting stuck in frustration or self-doubt. You can bounce back from setbacks more quickly because you understand that challenges are just opportunities for growth, not signs of failure. Ultimately, a steady and positive mindset is about empowering yourself. It's about believing that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, and that even in difficult times you have the tools within you to keep moving forward. By consistently practicing gratitude, shifting your thoughts, surrounding yourself with positivity, and taking care of yourself, you build a mindset that will carry you through life's ups and downs. And as you strengthen this mindset, you'll find that you not only feel better, but that you also begin to achieve more, connect more deeply with others, and live with a greater sense of purpose and fulfillment. Chapter 12. Handle challenges without losing control. In life, challenges are inevitable. No one is exempt from facing obstacles, setbacks, or difficult circumstances. But what separates those who thrive from those who merely survive is the way they respond to these challenges. Handling adversity without losing control is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice, patience, and perseverance. The ability to stay grounded and composed, even when the world around you feels chaotic, is a powerful tool. It doesn't mean you won't feel overwhelmed or frustrated. It means you develop the resilience to face those feelings, manage them, and still move forward. When you find yourself in the midst of a challenge, it can be easy to feel like the world is falling apart. You might feel lost, uncertain, and even hopeless at times. But it's important to recognize that these feelings are temporary. Challenges, while difficult, are often opportunities for growth. The key to overcoming them lies in how you manage your emotions and reactions. When things aren't going your way, it's easy to spiral into a sense of helplessness. The first step is to pause and take a step back. When you're overwhelmed, your mind can race, jumping from one thought to the next, making everything seem worse than it really is. In these moments, it's essential to regain control of your mind. Take a few deep breaths, center yourself, and refocus on the present moment. It's impossible to think clearly when your emotions are running wild, so grounding yourself is the first step toward finding a solution. Once you've calmed your mind, take a closer look at the situation. Ask yourself, what is within my control? Often when faced with challenges, it's easy to focus on what we can't change, the things outside of our control. Maybe the situation involves other people or external factors that you simply can't influence. However, focusing on these things only adds to your stress. Instead, shift your focus to what you can control. You have control over your actions, your mindset, and how you respond to the situation. By identifying the elements you can influence, you empower yourself to take positive action. When you focus on what's within your control, you create a sense of direction. This clarity helps you approach the challenge with a solution-oriented mindset. Instead of dwelling on the problem, you start thinking about possible solutions. It's easy to feel stuck when a problem seems insurmountable, but by breaking it down into smaller, manageable steps, you can start to see a way forward. The key is not to let the magnitude of the challenge paralyze you. Every small action you take moves you closer to resolving the issue. Another critical element in managing challenges without losing control is maintaining a positive outlook. This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not, or ignoring the difficulties at hand. It means choosing to look for the lessons and opportunities in every situation. When you encounter a challenge, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Every setback holds a lesson, whether it's about yourself, your goals, or the way you approach problems. Embracing challenges as opportunities for growth helps you reframe the situation. Instead of viewing obstacles as roadblocks, you begin to see them as stepping stones on the path to success. A positive outlook also involves practicing patience. It's easy to become frustrated when things aren't going according to plan, but frustration only fuels negativity. Patience allows you to take things one step at a time and trust that things will unfold in due time. Life doesn't always go the way you expect, but if you can remain patient and adaptable, you'll find that things often work out better than you anticipated. Trust the process and know that every challenge, no matter how difficult, is temporary. Another powerful tool for handling adversity is building a support system. Going through challenges alone can be overwhelming, but having a network of supportive people around you can make all the difference. These people can offer guidance, encouragement, and even just a listening ear when you need it most. It's important to seek out people who are positive, supportive, and who genuinely want to see you succeed. Sometimes, just talking through a problem with someone who cares can help you gain a fresh perspective. It's also helpful to have someone who can remind you of your strengths when you forget them yourself. Building a strong support system doesn't mean relying on others to solve your problems. Rather, it's about having people who help you stay grounded and focused on your own power to navigate the situation. They can offer advice, but ultimately, the strength to move forward comes from within you. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you can help reinforce your own belief in your ability to overcome adversity. In addition to support from others, it's important to have a strong sense of self-reliance. This doesn't mean you should try to handle everything on your own or never ask for help. It means that you believe in your own abilities and trust that you can handle challenges. Self-reliance is rooted in confidence, and building that confidence comes from experience. The more you face challenges and overcome them, the more you realize that you are capable of handling whatever life throws your way. Each challenge you overcome becomes a building block for your confidence, and over time, you develop a deep sense of trust in your own resilience. Sometimes, even when you do everything right, taking a step back, focusing on what's within your control, maintaining a positive outlook, it can still feel like the challenge is too much to handle. In those moments, it's crucial to remember that you don't have to have all the answers right away. Progress is often made one small step at a time. Even if you don't know exactly how things will work out, trust that the process is unfolding, and each action you take, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to the resolution. Another essential aspect of managing challenges without losing control is self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on yourself when things aren't going as planned, but this only adds to your stress. Instead, treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Recognize that everyone faces challenges, and it's okay not to have everything figured out immediately. Self-compassion helps you maintain a calm and balanced perspective during difficult times. It allows you to be gentle with yourself when things aren't going well, rather than beating yourself up for not having everything under control. There will always be moments in life when things feel out of control. It's natural to feel frustrated, sad, or even angry during these times. However, the key to managing challenges is not about avoiding those emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging your feelings, sitting with them for a moment, and then choosing how to move forward. By allowing yourself to experience your emotions without judgment, you create space for healing and growth. From that place of self-awareness, you can take the necessary steps to regain control and continue moving forward. Ultimately, handling challenges without losing control is about finding balance. It's about recognizing that life isn't always easy, but that you have the inner strength to face whatever comes your way. Challenges are not roadblocks, they are opportunities for growth and transformation. The way you approach challenges shapes not only your ability to overcome them, but also your overall sense of fulfillment and success. By staying grounded, focusing on solutions and cultivating resilience, you'll find that you can navigate any storm that comes your way. And with each challenge you conquer, you'll become stronger, wiser, and more equipped to handle whatever the future holds. Chapter 13. Change the way you think about money. Money has a unique power in our lives. It affects our day-to-day decisions, influences our relationships, and even shapes how we view ourselves. The way we think about money is often passed down from our environment, whether that's from family, culture, or society. In some cases, we may inherit a mindset of scarcity, where money feels like something that's hard to come by. In others, we might develop a mindset of abundance, where money is viewed as a tool to help us achieve our goals. Regardless of how we were raised or what we've been taught, it's important to understand that our relationship with money is not fixed. It can be shaped, improved, and reframed in a way that empowers us to make smarter financial decisions. The first step to transforming your relationship with money is recognizing the beliefs you have about it. Take a moment to reflect on your thoughts when you hear the word money. Do you feel anxious, excited, or perhaps indifferent? Understanding these feelings is crucial because they often influence the actions you take in regard to your finances. If you feel anxious about money, for example, you might avoid dealing with it altogether, leading to missed opportunities and financial stress. On the other hand, if you feel excited and positive about money, you're more likely to take proactive steps to grow it. One of the biggest misconceptions many people have is that money is the root of all evil. This belief often stems from religious teachings or moral judgments. However, money itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's simply a tool. It's how we use it and the value we place on it that determines its impact on our lives. Money, when used responsibly, can provide security, freedom, and opportunities. It allows you to invest in experiences, support your loved ones, and contribute to causes you believe in. It can be a powerful means of creating positive change, both for yourself and for others. Understanding the role of money in your life requires shifting from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance. A scarcity mindset can trap you in fear and worry. You might constantly worry about not having enough or fear that there won't be enough to go around. This mindset can cause you to make poor financial decisions, such as hoarding money or avoiding investments out of fear. In contrast, an abundance mindset is rooted in the belief that there are always opportunities for growth and that resources are plentiful. When you adopt an abundance mindset, you're more likely to take calculated risks, invest in your future, and create a healthy flow of wealth into your life. One of the best ways to start shifting your mindset is by practicing gratitude. Gratitude helps you focus on what you have rather than what you don't have. When you're grateful for the money you do have, you begin to appreciate it more and are more likely to use it wisely. You'll also be more open to receiving money and opportunities when they come your way. Rather than thinking of money as something you're constantly chasing, you'll start to see it as a tool to be used strategically to create more abundance. It's important to recognize that having a positive relationship with money doesn't mean you need to have an unlimited supply of it. Instead, it's about using the money you have in a way that aligns with your values and goals. This requires being mindful of how you spend, save, and invest your money. It's easy to get caught up in consumer culture, where the pressure to keep up with others leads us to make impulsive purchases or take on unnecessary debt. But when you develop a deeper understanding of what truly matters to you, it becomes easier to make financial decisions that support your well-being and long-term success. One powerful tool for creating a healthier relationship with money is budgeting. A budget isn't about limiting your enjoyment or living frugally. It's about taking control of your finances and ensuring that your money is being spent in a way that aligns with your priorities. Start by tracking your income and expenses. This will give you a clear picture of where your money is going and help you identify areas where you can cut back or reallocate funds. Once you have a solid understanding of your cash flow, you can create a budget that reflects your financial goals, whether that's saving for a home, investing in your education, or building an emergency fund. Another important aspect of managing money is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. Assets are things that put money in your pocket, while liabilities take money out. It's essential to focus on acquiring assets, things that appreciate in value over time and contribute to your financial growth. This could be investments, real estate, or even acquiring skills and knowledge that increase your earning potential. On the other hand, liabilities are things that drain your resources, such as debt or depreciating assets, like cars or electronics. Being mindful of these distinctions helps you make smarter financial decisions that support long-term wealth building. One of the most effective ways to increase your wealth is by investing in yourself. Your education, skills, and experiences are some of the most valuable assets you can possess. Investing in personal development not only improves your ability to earn, but also enhances your overall quality of life. Whether it's learning a new skill, taking a course, or seeking mentorship, investing in yourself pays dividends far beyond financial success. It gives you the tools to navigate the world with confidence and purpose, ensuring that you're always growing and adapting to new opportunities. When it comes to money, there's also the element of delayed gratification. It's easy to fall into the trap of instant gratification, where we spend money on things that provide temporary pleasure but don't contribute to our long-term well-being. Learning to delay gratification is a key component of financial success. It involves making choices that may not give you immediate pleasure, but will pay off in the future. This could mean saving a portion of your income instead of spending it on unnecessary items, or choosing to invest in something that will bring you greater returns in the long run. Creating a strong financial foundation is also about having a clear vision for your future. Where do you want to be in 5, 10, or 20 years? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? Having a clear vision helps you stay focused on your goals and gives you the motivation to make the right financial decisions today. It also helps you identify what's truly important to you, so you can align your spending, saving, and investing habits with your values. Money is not the end goal, it's a tool that enables you to live the life you want. It can bring you security, freedom, and opportunities, but only if you develop a healthy relationship with it. By shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance, budgeting mindfully, investing in yourself, and delaying gratification, you can start to build a solid financial foundation. This process takes time, but with consistency and discipline, you'll find that money can become a powerful ally in achieving your dreams and creating the life you envision for yourself. Chapter 14. Stop wasting money on unnecessary things. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that money is just a means to satisfy immediate wants, that we need to buy the latest gadget or designer clothes to feel good about ourselves. Society constantly bombards us with messages telling us that consumption is the key to happiness, that the more we buy, the better our lives will be. But in reality, constantly spending money on things we don't need only drains our resources and often leaves us feeling emptier than before. We buy things to fit in, to feel validated, but these things don't bring lasting fulfillment. The truth is, money spent on unnecessary things is money that could have been put towards something that truly enriches our lives. The key to managing your money better lies in understanding the value of what you're purchasing and ensuring that what you spend aligns with your priorities. If you find yourself frequently spending money on things that don't contribute to your long-term well-being, it's time to take a step back and reassess how you're using your resources. The first thing to consider is whether the purchase is truly necessary. Do you need that new phone? Will it really improve your life, or are you simply buying it because you've been influenced by advertising or peer pressure? Before making any purchase, ask yourself if it will genuinely add value to your life. Is it something that will enhance your happiness or serve a real purpose? If the answer is no, it's probably something you can live without. One of the most powerful changes you can make in your spending habits is shifting your focus from short-term gratification to long-term value. Instead of buying something just because you want it now, think about whether it will still be valuable to you a year from now. Consider if there are more meaningful ways to invest your money. Sometimes we spend money impulsively because we feel like we deserve something in the moment, but this can lead to regret later. When you learn to be more mindful about your purchases, you make better choices that align with your bigger goals. Another thing to consider when it comes to spending is the impact it has on your financial future. When you constantly spend on non-essentials, you rob yourself of the opportunity to save or invest in something that can grow your wealth. There's an undeniable power in having savings and investments because they provide you with a sense of security and flexibility. A strong financial foundation allows you to make choices that serve your future, rather than being stuck in a cycle of instant gratification that only provides temporary pleasure. Living below your means is one of the most important financial habits you can cultivate. It doesn't mean depriving yourself of the things that make life enjoyable, but it does mean being mindful of your spending patterns and avoiding unnecessary indulgences. The less you spend on things you don't need, the more you can save and invest in things that matter. Whether it's setting aside money for an emergency fund, contributing to your retirement account, or investing in skills that will improve your career prospects, making smart financial decisions today will pay off in the future. Learning to distinguish between wants and needs is a vital part of reducing unnecessary spending. Wants are things we desire but can live without, while needs are essential to our survival and well-being. It's easy to get the two confused, especially in a society that constantly pushes us to consume more. But by focusing on what you truly need, you can stop wasting money on things that will bring you fleeting satisfaction at best. Instead, you can direct your money toward things that provide long-term value, like experiences, education, or health. While it's important to avoid wasting money on non-essentials, that doesn't mean you should feel guilty about spending on things that bring you joy. The key is to be intentional with your spending. If something brings you happiness and is in line with your values, there's no harm in purchasing it. The problem arises when we buy things on impulse or out of a sense of obligation, not because we genuinely want or need them. When you start making thoughtful, intentional purchases, you'll feel more content with what you have and be less likely to fall into the trap of consumerism. One way to avoid unnecessary spending is by tracking where your money goes. You can use apps, spreadsheets, or even a simple pen and paper to record your purchases. This helps you gain clarity on your spending patterns and identify areas where you could cut back. For example, you might notice that you're spending a significant amount on dining out or shopping for clothes. By tracking your expenses, you can make more informed decisions about where to allocate your money. This process might feel tedious at first, but it's incredibly eye-opening, and the results can be transformative. Another useful technique is creating a waiting period before making large purchases. When you see something you want, resist the urge to buy it immediately. Give yourself time to think it through, whether that's 24 hours or even a week. Often after the waiting period, the urge to purchase it will fade. You might even realize that you didn't actually need it in the first place. This simple strategy helps you make more thoughtful decisions and reduces the risk of impulsive spending. It's also important to be mindful of the influence of social media and advertising. We're constantly exposed to ads and influencers showing us the latest trends, making it easy to feel like we need to keep up with them. But remember that these advertisements are designed to make you feel like you're missing out if you don't buy the product. The reality is that you don't need to buy into every trend. Instead of measuring your self-worth by what you own, focus on what you can give and how you can contribute to the world. Real fulfillment comes from within, not from the things you accumulate. Another helpful practice is to focus on experiences rather than possessions. Experiences like traveling, spending time with loved ones, or learning new skills often bring more lasting happiness than material goods. When you prioritize experiences, you invest in memories that can enrich your life in ways that things simply can't. You'll also find that you need less stuff to feel content. Experiences are often more fulfilling because they create deeper connections and contribute to your personal growth. As you start to reduce your spending on unnecessary items, you'll also begin to appreciate the things you do have more. Instead of constantly seeking the next best thing, you'll find contentment in the things that are already a part of your life. This shift in mindset can bring a sense of peace and satisfaction that material possessions can never provide. Ultimately, the goal is to develop a mindset of abundance where you appreciate what you have and make thoughtful choices about what you spend your money on. It's not about deprivation, it's about intentionality. When you learn to stop wasting money on unnecessary things, you free up resources that can be used to build a future that aligns with your values. By being mindful of your spending habits, you take control of your financial life and pave the way for a more fulfilling, secure, and purposeful existence. Chapter 15. Increase your income with smart decisions. The idea of increasing your income might sound like a daunting task, something only achievable by the fortunate few or those with a special talent. But in reality, anyone has the potential to increase their income, provided they approach it with the right mindset and strategy. Increasing your income is about more than just getting a higher-paying job or starting a side hustle. It's about smart decisions, creating opportunities, and having the discipline to take consistent action toward your financial goals. One of the first things to understand is that money is a tool. It can work for you, not just through traditional jobs or investments, but also through the value you provide to others. No matter what your current situation is, there's always a way to generate more income. It all starts with shifting your perspective. Instead of viewing money as something scarce, view it as a resource that flows based on the value you offer. When you focus on creating value, the income follows. This mindset can open doors to new opportunities that you might have overlooked in the past. Building a solid foundation of skills and knowledge is one of the most effective ways to increase your income over time. The more valuable you are to the marketplace, the more you can charge for your services, whether as an employee, freelancer, or entrepreneur. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to acquire a fancy degree or certification, but you do need to develop skills that are in demand. Take the time to learn something new, improve on existing skills, or specialize in a particular area. When you become an expert in something, you automatically increase your earning potential. For example, learning how to code, improve your writing, or become skilled in a technical trade can open up numerous doors for higher-paying jobs or freelance opportunities. What's great about today's world is the accessibility to online courses and resources. The internet has made it easier than ever to learn and expand your knowledge. Whether it's through free resources or paid platforms, the opportunities are endless. It's about finding something that excites you, something that will help you add value in a way that others are willing to pay for. Building a network is another powerful way to increase your income. The people you know and the relationships you foster can be just as important as the skills you possess. Many opportunities come not from cold applications or job ads, but from personal connections. Networking isn't about making small talk or trying to impress others. It's about building meaningful relationships with people who share similar interests or goals. A strong network can offer you access to job opportunities, collaborations, clients, and even mentorship that can help elevate your financial situation. In addition to networking, learning how to sell yourself and your skills is crucial. Whether you are applying for a job or pitching a product, being able to communicate your value clearly and confidently is essential. The ability to sell isn't limited to the world of marketing or sales. It applies to every aspect of life. Whether you're negotiating a salary or trying to secure a freelance contract, being able to communicate your worth is key. Practice how you present yourself and your skills, and ensure that you're always demonstrating the value you bring to the table. Of course, one of the most direct ways to increase your income is by finding multiple streams of revenue. Relying on a single source of income can be risky, especially in an uncertain economy. That's why it's important to explore side gigs, freelance opportunities, or investments that can help you build wealth. Whether it's starting a side business, investing in stocks, or renting out a spare room, creating additional streams of income provides more financial security and helps you accelerate your wealth-building journey. Creating a side business can be a great way to supplement your income. It doesn't have to be a grand idea or something you need to dedicate all your time to. Start small with something that aligns with your skills and passions. It could be anything from freelance writing, graphic design, or online tutoring to selling handmade products online. The key is to start, even if it's just a few hours a week. Consistency over time will add up, and eventually, what was once a side gig can turn into a full-fledged business. Investing is another avenue to increase your income. While investing carries risk, it's one of the most powerful ways to grow your wealth over time. Whether you're interested in real estate, stocks, mutual funds, or even cryptocurrency, the goal is to make your money work for you. Start by learning about different investment strategies and begin small. The most important thing is to begin, even if you can only invest a small amount at first. As your knowledge grows, so will your confidence, and over time so will your returns. If you're already in a stable job, asking for a raise can be one of the quickest ways to increase your income. Many people shy away from asking for more money, thinking it's inappropriate or that their boss won't agree. But the truth is, most employers are open to giving raises to employees who prove their value. To increase your chances, ensure that you're exceeding expectations in your role and have concrete evidence of your contributions. When you approach the conversation with confidence and a clear understanding of your value, you'll be much more likely to succeed. If you're in a position to do so, investing in your personal development is also an excellent way to increase your income in the long run. Books, courses, conferences, and even hiring a mentor can all be powerful tools to help you level up your career or business. Never underestimate the value of investing in yourself. It pays the best dividends because, in the end, the more you improve yourself, the more valuable you become to others, and that translates to higher income. Managing your finances well is also a crucial component of increasing your income. It's not enough to just earn more. You also need to keep more of what you earn. This requires developing smart habits around budgeting, saving, and investing. Learning to live below your means while still enjoying life can significantly increase the amount of money you can set aside. For example, by cutting out unnecessary expenses and prioritizing savings, you free up more money to invest in opportunities that will lead to greater wealth in the future. Remember that increasing your income takes time, effort, and persistence. It's not about taking shortcuts or looking for a quick fix. It's about making deliberate choices that will benefit you in the long run. Be patient, stay committed to your goals, and always look for opportunities to learn and grow. Every small step you take today can have a big impact on your financial future. With consistent action, a focus on adding value, and a willingness to learn, you can take control of your financial destiny and increase your income in ways that will serve you for years to come.